out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it rain. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it rain. Tonight, we gonna let it just like the sunrise. We gonna let it rain.
Hello everybody and welcome into the PGR eSports Intimidator Superspeedway Series, live tonight from the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. It's been a couple of weeks, but these guys ready to get dialed back in and get back after it. And I am excited to be back up here in the booth to watch these guys go at it. So with that in mind, these guys have gotten rolling. Things have been gridded up, so let's get right down and into tonight's starting grid. The man who will sit on the pole here tonight, none other than the 60 of Jeff Merck, puts down a 54.387 to get himself that front row starting spot. To his outside in the second spot, looks like these guys are actually going to reorganize, so it'll appear that Asher Little got the pole. It'll be Jeff Merck to the outside spot in second, then it's Nash Brambilla back in third. Jared Haynes for the Jack Shack will start fourth tonight with Evan Carlbaugh, one of his teammates, back in fifth. Trevor Osmanoff will keep the Jack Shack going in the sixth spot tonight. Kenny Reel back in seventh with Brian Hennings in eighth. Ethan Eckert looking for another win here tonight. He will roll off in ninth. Cameron Craighead rounds out the top 10. It'll be Justin Melichar back in the 11th position with Curtis Mitchell rounding out row number 6. Back in row 7, it's going to be Josh Gambrone in the 49 alongside Chase Mastretta in the number 8. Jackson Buys will start 15th with Michael Guest, one of the Coke Series drivers, to his outside in 16th. Back in row 9, it's two Coke Series drivers, Daniel Falkingham and Malik Ray, Wyatt Gray and Stephen Miles rounding out the top 20. Kyler Wynn, the Canadian, back in 21st with Landon Veliky 22nd, Dylan Jones 23rd, Daniel Eberhardt 24th, Brock Westmoreland 25th, Sarker McClendon 26th, Quentin Steinbach, Tobias Masson back in row 14, and Justin Johnson rounds out the field tonight in 29th. Quick look at the race info. We're back in the ARCA Menard Series. 52 laps going to be the distance here tonight. These guys have 48% fuel, 2 sets of tires. Fixed setups as always, no fast repair, and 2 green-white checkers if we were to need them. Clear skies, light winds, and a beautiful day in the sim to go racing. First race of quarter number 4. Can Ethan Eckert make it 3 PGR wins in a row? Let's find out. Green flag in the air. We are racing at Talladega. field working their way down the Alabama gang back straightaway for the first time here tonight. Still 2x2. The man in the front right now is Jeff Merck on the outside. He's got some momentum, but Asher Little trying to hang on with the push from Nash Brambilla in the 23. A little bit of a different look on the colors for Nash Brambilla. Still the yellow and black, but he's got the Caesars Sportsbook sponsor on board here tonight. Meanwhile, further back, third lane already going to try to get its way going. The 77 now jumping to the outside, going to try to slowly make some progress here towards the front of the field. And got a couple things to talk about tonight. We'll wait till these first couple of laps kind of get things calmed down a little bit to get into them. But one of the big rules that I do want to mention here tonight is a now no bumper locking rule. As you see Jeff Merck with that big block to the high side. Brambilla doesn't like what he sees. He is going to bail at a line down the back, so he'll lose his spots. But this is how the no blocking rule works. If you remember back to really the last couple of weeks, and then of course in the light series on Monday, a lot of chaos and a lot of guys getting into trouble from doing pushing where they weren't necessarily supposed to. Now granted, we were in the trucks, but the last time that we were in a car similar to this, we saw a lot of issues, and that was in the old Xfinity car just a couple of weeks ago. So here's how the rule works. You can lock bumpers on the straightaway, but if you cause a wreck while you're pushing the guy in front of you, you are responsible. Now when it comes to pushing through the corner, you are not allowed to lock bumpers consistently. If race control catches you doing it consistently through the corner, you're going to get a warning, and if they see you doing it again, you're going to get a drive-through. If you cause a wreck by locking bumpers in the corner, then you're going to get a 2-lap hold penalty. So that is something that all these guys are going to have to keep in mind here tonight. Harsher penalties to hopefully cut down on the cautions. It's some of the unfortunate racing that we have had with the way things have worked out, and part of it's not necessarily on the drivers, part of it is on the way some of these cars work, but as the saying goes, you are responsible for the car in front of you. You got to make that decision of how much aggression you want to put in terms of the risk versus reward. I'll tell you what, did not take long for the 2 of Kyler Wynn to make his way towards the front. He now sits second on the inside. How about the 84, Justin Melichar, also up to second on the outside. Other thing to remember here tonight is the 48% fuel. That puts the window, if I had to guess, probably somewhere right around the 20-ish lap mark. I don't know if these guys are going to be able to stretch it too much further, maybe even a little bit less than that. But it should certainly be a 2-stop race if it were to go green all the way. Now, granted, whether or not that will happen, only time will tell. Curtis Mitchell now, big move. He'll jump up top. That puts him third in line just behind the 78 of Evan Carlbond, one of the drivers for the Jack Shack. And they've been looking to see if they can return to victory lane. And if you remember the way things kind of finished up last week, it looked like we were going to have ourselves a different winner. Eckert had got the job done initially. Race control, after a lot of looking, said, no, we're going to go ahead and give him an EOL. That was for an incident involving him and Kyler. But then the next day, race control looked at it a second time and said, you know what? I think I like my first call. So Ethan Eckert was ultimately rewarded the win, at least from last I heard of. And so this, again, would be him trying to go for number 3 here tonight. Landon Velicky now up front in the 77 Chili's machine, leading that middle line. But now it's going to be the 78 Toyota Camry for Evan Carlbond jumping to the top. Jeff Merck with another big shove. He's trying to get the 4 of Curtis Mitchell clear before they get into the corner. He's not going to have any luck with it. This is where things start to get tough. You're pushing and shoving, but remember what I talked about with the no pushing through the corner rule. These guys got to keep that in mind. You can bump drive through the corners. Oh, big moment here. Jeff Merck down to the pits, and there's going to be a few guys here. And I'm going to say this is scheduled. This is way too many drivers to come down for any other reason than that. Early pit stop here for Jeff Merck. Looks like, I believe that's Kyler Wynn who went along with him. No, that's actually going to be the 2 of Malik Ray. Michael Guest in there as well. Jackson Buys, Wyatt Gray, Stephen Miles. Kyler Wynn, though, did go in as well. And so this is a lot of really strong drivers that went in on this pit stop here. We'll see how everybody else decides to make adjustments based off of this strategy. Malik Ray, though, here tonight actually running the number 15 machine. So we'll keep an eye on those colors, or is he? He may be in the number 8 tonight. We'll get that sorted out in just a moment. I think he was in the number 8. Let's see if anybody else, though, here decides to bail on the late pit strategy after seeing the leaders go. And it looks like we will indeed see another group with just 6 laps in the books. Probably one of the earliest pit stops we've ever seen in PGR. And this one's going to contain Eckert, Asher Little, Chase Mistretta, and it looks like the 89 there of Trevor Osranoff also deciding to make a pit stop right here. And I'm looking here, and for Trevor Osranoff, I believe he is actually currently being scored a lap down. I'm not sure what the issue is to have started him out a lap down. If he missed the start would be my assumption, but still making sure here to pit with the group. Try to keep himself in the best possible position that he can. So we'll have to see how those guys are able to cycle out. More importantly, we'll ask the same question as we did last lap. Does anybody else bail? It seems like the more drivers that you start to get to take a strategy like this, the more it tends to draw in each and every lap. But no. So that's going to answer the question here. Everybody else might be kind of content to go with the strategy of staying out and running these things dry on fuel before you make that first pit stop of the night. So we'll keep tabs on that. Should be probably sometime again after lap 15. I'd be shocked if these guys can make it really any more than somewhere right around 20-ish laps or so, I would say. Again, I just don't really see them being able to go much farther on half a tank. Well, technically just a little bit less worth of fuel. So let's go back here and look at some of the groups that did already make a pit stop while the leaders continue to go. We've got a couple onboard views that I want to get to here tonight, and one of them is for one of the drivers who already made a pit stop. That is the man leading that first pit stop group, Jeff Merck in the 60, the driver out of Punta Gorda, Florida. Currently sits in that 16th spot. And again, down 14 from where he qualified, which was up on the front row, but leading a very, very strong group. He's got a couple of Coke Series drivers and Tyler Wynn just behind him. The 8 of Malik Ray back there as well. You see the 18 of Wyatt Gray in this group. And then chasing them down, another man trying to make something happen, as you see the 15 dart out of line right there. Ethan Eckert leading a few of his teammates in the 01 of Asher Little, Chase Mastretta. And you can see these guys, you know what they're doing. You see them all how they jump out of line. That's cycling temps. You got to keep the cars nice and cool. The goal is to obviously do as much pushing and shoving on that car in front of you as you can. The trade-off is that you're going to get hot a lot quicker, and once that happens, the decision is, do you either try to manage temps or do you try to cycle? Now, the problem here for Asher Little, did he fall too far off the draft? If he loses touch with these guys, could be in big trouble. Trying to catch back up to Steven Miles. That front group, though, still organized. It looks like we had a second group make a pit stop here, and that consisted of Daniel Falkingham, Daniel Eberhardt, Kenny Reel, and maybe a few others here that decided to go in. Dylan Jones, all making their pit stop. As, by the way, Tobias Masson and Justin Johnson issues. They were not able to start the race. Another group now into the pit stop for service. Looks like Brock Westmoreland. I see the 77 there as well. Brian Hennings, Jared Haynes, Nash Brambilla. Landon Velicky was the 77. And this stop is so early that I don't think anybody can even afford to take 2 tires. I think the call here is just fuel. Try to get back out, but it's going to be interesting because, like I said, you didn't have to pit that early, but by doing it, it really makes me wonder if these guys are going to try to potentially force this thing to go green, and if they feel like they got a better shot at fighting with each other for it. Not the guys that stayed out, but the guys that have already pit. And here will come that last group. Oh, man, really diving it in deep. Quentin Steinbach, whoa, we had one there rocking up towards the back. A little bit of contact, but they all sorted out. And so this group will consist of Justin Melchar, Steinbach, McClendon, Evan Carlbon, Josh Giambrone, Curtis Mitchell in there as well. So they'll all try to get in their box clean. By the way, Justin Melchar is the other driver carrying an onboard view for us here tonight in those pink and black 84 colors. It looks like he overshot his box just a little here. Don't think it's going to cost him too much. Gets out pretty good. Looks like he is going to be able to stick with at least the 77 of Josh Giambrone. But these guys are getting ready to get run down right here, and it's going to happen quick. Watch this. There goes the pack flying by. First group. There goes the second group and the third group, which is caught up now as well. Excuse me, that was all the second group. There's the third group in the background, which is likely where most of these guys are going to merge out around. Tucker McClendon did a good job on that pit stop. Got the best one of everybody that pits. And so he'll come out in front of this group. They'll still be able to slingshot by him. The speed difference is just going to be too big. See Tucker McClendon, 170. The guy's just going by 192. Still almost a 20 to 30 mile an hour speed difference. So Tucker should be able to tag back on. Now, meanwhile, up front, all these packs have caught each other. Quickly back to 2x2, and now starting to fan out 3 wide here. Coming down the short chute into the tri-oval. The Jackson buys. He's going to take another big swing up to the high side here. We talked about the strategy with the early pit stop, but everybody wants track position for the second one. And I would take it as that second one could be any time between lap 20 to 25-ish. Maybe a little bit later, but these guys, based on the strategy they went on, maybe even a little bit sooner. So we'll keep tabs on that. Now, by the way, if you missed it here in the race info, track temp 81 degrees, so not very hot here tonight. Makes me think the bottom might have a little bit more of a chance than it usually does, but in these ARCA cars, always seems like that third lane, it tends to be favored. But right now, the bottom's getting the momentum. There's a brief stack up going down the backstretch. The high side had a few guys that had to lift out of it. And that allows the 8 now of Malik Ray to jump up, and his Dale Jr. throwback with the Budweiser baseball number 8 car. The other things I was trying to think of here is, you know, the guys that obviously pit early had to take less fuel because they still had more fuel in the tank. So that group that pitted last, they're not that far back. You could actually see them there really at about the same camera angle, at least just briefly. And looking at the exact gap, Landon Velicky, who currently leads this group, he's got Brian Hennings and Brock Westmoreland behind him, is about 3.8 seconds back from the tail end of that front pack, which has now been 3 groups all merging together. If they can get within drafting distance and catch this group, then I almost think that that kind of messes up the strategy of the lead pack, because those guys have to take more fuel on the final pit stop, where the guys who pit later on the first one will have to take less, but they'd have to keep them within striking distance for that to work. Otherwise, if this front pack can pull away, then it throws that strategy out of the window, and they're still hanging pretty even. Not much of a gain or loss that lap, but we'll keep an eye on that here and let you know how it develops. You can see it on the scoring tower there, the gap between Kenny Reel and Landon Velicky. Keep an eye on that gap and watch to see if it starts to close down. Here comes the man D3, Daniel Eberhardt up top. Michael Guest is going to jump up to cover the run. Trevor Osinoff follows behind in suit. Malik Ray, Jeff Merck going to jump to the top to cover the momentum, and all of a sudden it's the middle now, looking a little bit less organized. Ethan Eckert leads the field on the bottom, and now the 8 of Malik Ray is going to get spit out, and he'll have to wait for a push here now from the 2 of Kyler Wynn. As we zoom things in now on the race leader, I talked about it, but I don't think a lot of people understand how hard of a thing it is to do. Is wow, that was a big jump. I'm not sure if that was a controlled move right there from Malik Ray, or if that was a push gone sour. A little bit of damage to the right front of Kyler Wynn, but Malik Ray took a huge right-hand turn. Looked like he had to gather that car up once he got there. But the point I was getting ready to make here is for Ethan Eckert, I want to stress this enough. Getting 2 wins in a row is already hard enough anywhere in iRacing. Doing it at a super speedway in PGR is probably about one of the hardest things you can do, much less just 2 weeks after coming back. So the streak that Eckert's on right now is probably one of the best I have seen in my time broadcasting PGR. And a lot of drivers don't like the aggression, but you got to give him credit. His caution is now out. Trying to figure out what this is for. Brian Hennings was in the pits, but I don't believe he was involved. Landon Velicky, though, 77 here, down below the racing surface, and he's got some pretty significant damage there to the rear bumper. So he's trying to get it back going here. We'll have to see what happens right here. Let's go back and back this up here as, whoa, 77 spinning, and let's go see if this is going to be a push gone wrong or a bumper hook, as some people have been calling it. See the 3 of Westmoreland pushing 77. It looks like he gets to him there right on corner exit, but it seems like that push is okay. Which is going to be the one that hooks him? Ooh, right there. It's not much, and then Landon Velicky tries to save it there. Corrects it, but then as he comes back up, oh man. Tucker McClendon right there with a pretty big shot to the left side door. So Landon continues. I don't know if his damage is necessarily all too bad. Remember, no fast repair here tonight, but Tucker certainly took the bigger shot of that exchange, in my opinion. And I want to watch this from the chopper view. I have a feeling I know exactly who the CLL is going to go on and why. Nothing Brock's doing necessarily wrong intentionally, but remember we talked about the rules here tonight. Race control is going to be more strict on this. Listen, you can push, especially on the straightaways, but if you're locking bumpers or even pushing on the straightaway and the guy in front gets hooked from that push, doesn't matter how square you think you were, you're getting a penalty. Got to be responsible for the guy in front of you. And in that case, obviously, you feel a little bit for Brock, because I will say, looking at it, he certainly looks pretty square, right? I mean, it looks like a case of a little bit of bumper hook. Now, granted, he was moving a little bit to the right, but we've seen a lot of these kind of pushes here tonight, and it worked just fine. I think there may have been a little bit of unfortunate kind of bad luck in that push for Brock. Not necessarily that he was given so much of a bad push, but unfortunately, it sends the 77 sideways. And for Landon here, remember, he is one of the drivers, I believe, I won't say quote me on it, but I believe he's on 210. And so whenever they get sideways, they make these really aggressive movements with the wheel. You see those front wheels turn aggressive. You know, honestly, I know it's natural reaction, and I think that it's obviously a lot much easier said than done up here in the booth, but I think he just gets a little too anxious there with that car getting sideways. I know he got turned, but it wasn't that aggressive of a turn that I think he could ride this thing out here and straighten it out. I mean, look at this. He gets pointed, but right there it's straightened, but he just sees trying to get that thing corrected all the way back to the right, and just a little bit too much. Heck of an effort, though, to try to hold on to it. And then there's the 0-0 of Tucker. Just absolutely nowhere to go. And he takes the big hit out of this. Here's what it looked like full speed. You're going to see the 77 get turned. Here he comes back up the track. 7 at Jared Haynes. Man, that was a heck of a dodge for him. And I think for Tucker, yeah, you can see it right there. It did break that left front suspension. So that's a tough one right there. It's going to certainly be probably the end of the night for Tucker McClendon. As we go back live now, 17 of 52 laps complete. Up front, it is Malik Ray as your race leader. Ethan Eckert second in the body armor number 12. Jeff Merck back in third. Daniel Eberhardt currently sitting in fourth with Jackson Byes fifth. Cameron Craighead in sixth. Chase Mistretta seventh. Kenny Reel in eighth. Asher Little ninth. And Brock Westmoreland rounding out the top 10. And for Malik Ray leading the field here, get a brief look here at some of the data to see. I would assume everybody decided to go in right there for fuel, maybe tires as well. Just wouldn't make sense to really stay out. And it looks like they did. Looking at that data now, all the leaders that you see up front did go into at least top off on fuel. So based off how far they could go from here, let's just say you could make it, heck, we'll say 15 laps for now. If you can make it about 15 laps from here, that gets you to about 32. It'd be 20 to make it the rest of the way from there. I'd say it's pretty close. It's going to really depend on when we see this first pit stop on whether or not these guys can make it a one stop or if it's still 2 from here. We figured that fuel window was somewhere around 20 laps for this race. But based off how early they went in on that first stop, part of me almost thinks now if... See, they're going to have to make it probably at least... We're going to go green here actually with just over 33 laps to go, so you got to make it realistically probably 16 or 17 on each of these runs, assuming it goes green, that is, if you want to make it the rest of the way. For everybody tuning in here tonight, appreciate you being here. Hope you're having a good night. Devin Ray in the chat, along with Hey, it's Dina. Show Loud says Evan is no longer a part of Jack Shack. Made a new team called Gentlemen. Giambroni, Carlbon, Veliky, and White. All right. Interesting note there, so we'll keep tabs on that. We'll get the teams updated for those guys next week. But certainly very interesting indeed, as you see Hayden Malik Ray there diving off briefly. Not sure what the issue was there. Brendan Broadfoot, though, says need to get back into this Thursday night racing. These cars don't lock bumpers very well. You got that right, and it's weird. It's almost like they're meant to lock bumpers when you first get that run. But then as by the time you get to the corner at most, you gotta lay off. And I know guys are gonna do it. They're gonna do it at the end. And maybe it works, but at the same time, it certainly has shown that it also doesn't at times. Very finicky car, I guess would be the best way to put it. But, I mean, I was looking at some of the schedule here for quarter 4 for PGR, and there's a couple cars that way, so these guys are gonna have to get used to it. But looking forward to some of the big events on the calendar this quarter. Next week, October 9th, we're going to kick off the Fall Brawl. A lot to talk about with the format for that. Basically, though, the idea is it's going to be an elimination tournament. We'll have a round of 60. The next week will be the round of 40. The week after that will be the round of 30. And then the end of October will be the championship round of 20. Xfinity's on the schedule, as is Gen 4 at Old Daytona. First time we'll be going there, I believe. And then the car of tomorrow, the COTs, will be on there as well. That's early November. The PGR 500 preview at some point. The PGR Championship obviously coming up in December. Looking forward to that as well. So a lot of good things to still come for PGR. All right, here we go. First restart of the night. Starters got the flag in hand. Green flag in the air. We are back underway at Talladega, and it's a good restart for the inside. Malik Ray is going to get the big jump over the 12 of Ethan Eckert here. A quick move to the top. Makes you think that that may have been calculated, but oh, man. Not sure if that's a mistake or a ditch, but Eckert says, no, thank you, Malik Ray. He's going to split him down to the middle. That traps Malik to the outside, but now he'll pick up a push from the 11 of Kenny Reel. Watch out. I think Malik here maybe going to say, hey, I remember what you just did there, Eckert. I'll get you back. For now, though, seems content to stay behind the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. And they're all trying to lock in further back here to see what positions they can get sorted out before they start battling and getting really aggressive right here. This is Daniel Eberhard here. Tried to jump down the middle. Can't tell if he's getting side drafted from the top. Yeah, he definitely is. I'm going to say that car lost a ton of momentum. He got split out to dry. So now Malik Ray's got an option here. What is he going to do with the 12? Is he going to try to leave him? Yes, he is. Malik Ray going to go to the inside of Ethan Eckert. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, it's the other 8 car that now goes to the point. That is Chase Mastretta with a push from Asher Little. Quentin Steinbach has now broken his way into the top 3. Great run going for another one of the veteran money racing drivers. That is one of the drivers out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. You can see a lot of diving, bobbing, and weaving up here. Malik Ray and Ethan Eckert are certainly bringing out the yardsticks right now. I'm watching up top here. That third lane, if they can get together and stay there, I think that's going to be the lane that makes the ultimate move right here and gets clear of the lead. But bottom is rolling pretty well. We talked about that track, Tim. Not necessarily being on the cooler side, but definitely not being on the warmer side either. And now they're going to fan out 4 wide as they cross the line that time. That was Jackson Buys. Didn't really have anywhere to go, so he'll have to wait till he goes to the back of this group, get back in line, and try this once again. At some point here, shocked to see Quentin Steinbach not jump up. That's the 15 of Cameron Craighead in the Motocraft. Car just behind him. Motorcraft, watch out. Steinbach blew a motor. The 22 fading quickly here. Everybody's got to dodge him. That's a huge mistake for the 22 here. I thought he blew a motor. Maybe he didn't. Man, he checked up in a huge hurry. But it does look like he's back under power now. Boy, that was a really interesting look right there. I didn't see the puff of smoke, but usually whenever somebody drops that quick, there's some sort of issue. Let's see if we can go back and get another view of that here before these guys get too crazy. You see Kyler Wynn trying to split 4 wide, but I mean, he lost a ton of speed here in the matter of just a couple seconds. Watch the 22 here. He's going to kind of, he gets, I don't know what it was, but if it was a little net coat or something from the 01, but it's something with the back bumper of Asher Little here. As Steinbach is pushing, and then watch right here. Bam! Just shoots the 22 up and kills his speed. He probably drops 20, 30 mile an hour right there and goes all the way to the back. But again, initially it had looked like a blown motor. Glad to see that it was not. And through all the chaos, they single file out now. Back towards the front of the field. We'll see how long this lasts here. Wonder if this is maybe an indication of some fuel saving to come. Malik Ray has dropped back there with Michael Guest, Daniel Falkingham, Stephen Miles, Trevor Ozernoff. Looks like Curtis Mitchell now back there as well, and that's usually a good indication of what this is, and you can see everybody now single filing out. That makes me wonder, is this going to turn into a fuel race, and if so, how far can these guys make it on a tank of gas? 23 of 52 laps now complete. See the 11 of Kenny Reilly with another big shot to the back of the 8 of Chase Mastretta. And remember, for Chase here, by being the lead car, obviously best position to be in on the racetrack, but he is burning the most fuel. Kenny Reilly's just going to sit behind him right now, try to do some pushing, but not necessarily get too aggressive. Behind what I believe is a teammate. There's Ethan Eckert back in 3rd, and that actually makes it 2 Chevys and 2 Mustangs inside the top 4. 1 Toyota back in 5th. That's the 7 of Jared Haynes. But a couple of the big dogs here are still not content to save fuel. Kyler Wynn, Daniel Eberhard, and the 15 of Cameron Craighead. 3 cars together on the outside. That's enough to make something happen if they can stay together long enough. They're going to get a little bit more help. Here comes the cavalry. Ethan Eckert. He'll jump up top and pick up a massive push from Kyler Wynn. Big split. Watch out. This could spell trouble. They stack him up big time, but Eberhard and Craighead are able to check up enough to catch it. And oh, man, let's back this up here. Was this a big block from the 8 of Chase Mastretta? I believe that's exactly what it's going to be. Watch again from the blit cam. You see the 12. He picks up a big push, and Chase tries to block. Ethan Eckert says, yeah, I don't think so. You know, I'm all for track position, and, you know, at this point, with the way money racing's gone the last couple of months, I'll say it about anybody. It's not us trying to be mean. Just telling you what we honestly feel up here, opinion-wise. I get what you're trying to do here if you're Chase Mastretta. You want to keep the track position, but we're not even halfway, right? And you know, Eckert goes low, which I think helps prevent an even bigger stack up from what this was. But part of you just kind of asks the question of why? What are you gaining from making that block right now? Besides potentially almost causing an accident. Eckert has now fallen to the back. Meanwhile, at the front, Kyler Wynn, Daniel Eberhard take the lead. Eberhardt, though, is going to jump down before Kyler Wynn's able to go. Chase Mastretta still trying to hang up here inside the top 5. A lap car in the faint distance. Further back, Malik Ray now going to try to start to slowly push his way back to the front. Him and Steven Miles gave it a couple of looks. Now they duck back down in line as they go through the tribal. So that's the 27 there, by the way, of Dylan Jones. Michael Guest in the 21 tonight. Similar colored cars, so didn't want you to get them mixed up. That is the 3 of Brock Westmoreland here that they're going to go by on the outside. Quentin Steinbach, they're going to go to the inside, and I think if you're Brock right here, you're going to be able to keep the pack as, man, Kyler Wynn, was that another massive blocker? A checkup trouble. Got 2 going around here on the front, or back stretch, rather. No caution yet. Trying to figure out exactly who it was. Asher Little, massive damage to the front of his Ford Mustang. That car is destroyed. Could have swore I saw one more, but it may have only been one car all in all. Let's go back and look at it here. Asher Little got shot out right as they were coming down the backstretch here. See, he's getting pushed by the 8 of Chase Mastretta. Is this going to be... Well, it's similar there. Oh, just gets hooked by the 8, and that is a huge impact to the inside safer barrier. Just had nowhere to go. Give you this one more look here from one more angle from behind a little bit. And you're going to see Chase here just bumper hooks him. And this will be the other call that we talk about. We'll have to see what race control decides to do. I don't know if there's any rules on this, so it may stay as an okay ordeal for Chase Mastretta, but to me, I mean, I know we didn't get a caution from it, but again, you're still hooking the guy. See if race control decides to take any action on that one. Jeff Merck now back to the front. Qualified second here tonight. He's been back and forth a little bit. The 11 of Kenny Reel now looking to the outside. Can he get a push from the 8s? Trying to figure out what 8 it is. It's the 8 of Malik Ray here. He's got the yellow banner up top. Chase Mastretta, the 8 without the yellow banner, all the way on the bottom. And I think at some point here, these guys are got to be getting close here to starting to line up potentially for that next green flag pit stop. We've got 25 laps to go here from Talladega. Steven Miles still pushing the 8 of Malik Ray on the top, but it's Kyler Wynn who actually leads that line. Eberhardt's going to now shuffle up as well. And as Brock Westmoreland fades to the back, quick reminder that he is battling for that lucky dog, but he doesn't have anyone to battle with. Tucker McClendon, Brian Hennings, Justin Johnson, Tobias Masson. The cars all behind him are not in the race anymore. So if you're Brock here, I say sit at the back of the pack and just try to avoid getting into any incident. Now, by the way, I did see a thing earlier. These guys were apparently going to do something with a wheel spin for a green flag pit stop. I didn't actually get any updates on how that worked or what the deal was with it. So keeping that in mind, I'm not sure if that is still in play or not. But regardless, as it stands right now with 24 laps to go, they are still going at it up front. The 2 of Malik Ray, Kyler Wynn, leading Kenny Reel in the 11, Jeff Merck on the inside. And if you're Jeff Merck here, even being in the spot as a leader, you feel probably a little bit more comfortable right now because we still have a fair amount of laps to go. But you're always so worried about what's going on in your mirror. It's so tempting to just stare in the rear view. The whole time is caution here. It's going to be the second one of the night. Figure out what it was for. Trouble further back. That's the 4 of Curtis Mitchell getting into the 15. Looks like the 77 of Josh Giambrone is heavily damaged in this one as well. I think he got the worst of it. And he's just trying to see if he can limp this thing back to the pits. I don't know if he's going to have a whole bunch of luck right here. That thing is destroyed. So the 77 going to halt it in the grass. 23 laps to go. Let's see what happens. Oh, man, Eberhardt got turned in the corner. And that was a pretty big stack up there. That caused a lot of incidents right there for a lot of good race cars. And this might be our first incident of that rule implemented here tonight. Pushing in the corner gone wrong. And let's see if this is Exhibit A. Here we go. We'll play it slow first. See Josh Gambro in there. He's trying to give a push to the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. Does he get locked onto the bumper? I don't think he gets locked on. I think he just is kind of coming up the banking as he hits him, and that's the equivalent of an offset push. But then that's a big secondary hit there for Josh Giambro. Let's go back and look at this here. Let's try from the chopper view and see if we can get any more clarification. It might be hard to get a good angle on this. See the 77 though here. When does he lock bumpers with the 90? So you see he's going to give him a push right there. Now it looks like he is locked on. It's close, but I think he is locked on. No, he wasn't. I think there was a little bit of gap. Obviously, race control can see it a little bit better than we can when they slow down some of these replays and change the camera angle. You see right there, Josh Cameron's not locked on. Okay, so it wasn't so much of a locking bumpers issue. It was more so a push that went wrong in the corner. Obviously, that would still put the penalty on the 77. Although his car is so destroyed, can't really say it's going to necessarily matter too much at this point. But then you see Daniel Eberhard up the track. He couldn't go anywhere. 11 of Kenny Reel. And then, oh my goodness, 77 right there. Landon Veliky up on his lid. He went upside down there momentarily after some contact. Daniel Eberhard. So this probably is going to retire a couple of race cars here tonight. Watch it again. Watch this hit. Boom. See, that just ripped the front end. Josh Gambron off, and then as that sends him in the middle of the pack, it leaves nowhere for a lot of these guys to go. 77 right there. And Veliky, look at that thing go. Takes another tank slapper. His night definitely done. As he tries to at least get that car back rolling, but you see the extent there of the suspension damage. Give you one more angle of this. This is from the onboard view here of Landon Veliky. It has an interesting flip too. It's almost like he must have ramped up over the left side tire there of Daniel Eberhard. The driver out of Lake Martin, Alabama. Certainly not going to be too happy with that. I said it would be the end of his race, and looking like the suspension's still broke even from that view. I would still probably stand by that, but we'll see if somehow the pit crew is able to work a miracle. Watch this from one more angle here. That's what I want to take you out to now. As this all gets started, we're going to play this at full speed. Again, watch the sequence here from Josh Gambron. This is coming through the corner. 77 is, well, he's really doing the right thing. I should mention that as he gives him that final push, he's also got him a little offset. And especially when you get somebody offset left in a corner, very easy to get him turned around. So that is our second caution of the night, as we now turn our attention back live in the aerial view here of beautiful Talladega Superspeedway. iRacing did re-art this track not too long ago, so we got the double striped line now on the bottom. A little bit of a smoother surface as well. Refurnished bleachers to go along with that. As we go back live to the action on track, you've got the 60 of Jeff Merck still leading the way here tonight. 12 of Ethan Eckert second. Dylan Jones third. Jackson Baez fourth. Chase Mastretta in fifth with Evan Carlbon sixth. Nash Brambilla seventh. Jared Haynes eighth. Wyatt Gray in ninth. And Malik Ray rounding out the top 10. And if you're just tuning in or you've been here, you may have heard me mention earlier that the PGR Championship coming up in quarter 4, which is what we just kicked off here tonight. To be eligible for that, at least from what I understand now, if you have a PGR win, those are the drivers that are eligible for it. I'm not sure how the rest of them get decided from that point on. But either way, Ethan Eckert, who was undergoing a pretty long suspension there, was able to come back and again win right away. Not just once, but twice, 2 in a row. So he will obviously be fighting to be crowned that 2025 PGR champion. So we'll see if he can get it done. By the way, winner of last season's Fall Brawl, I believe, was Daniel Falkingham. And I'm not just spitballing facts here, and I don't have them written down either. Going from the things that I remembered most, so I don't want to say I'm guaranteedly right on all these things. Please let me know if something I'm missing, but from what I remember correctly, those are the stats we have right now. And speaking of Daniel Falkingham, one of the favorites just about every week, and one of the Coke Series drivers that runs in PGR, currently sitting back in the 16th position in that National Guard, number 88 Dale Jr. paint scheme. That is the driver out of Jonesport. So with where he continues to run, you see Stephen Miles just behind him, along with Daniel Eberhard. And for Eberhard here, he did have some damage. It looks like he still does have some on the rear end, but I think the pit crew could probably keep working on that. Looks like they actually were able to fix up the front, so I think that car still has some speed. Not sure how well it will do out in front or getting pushed, but I definitely think they got that thing taped up good enough to still have a chance. And now the fuel window's even tighter, because it's going to be 20 laps to go. Time will tell on how quickly these guys sort it out, on if they think they can stretch it or not. But either way, we're starting to slowly get closer to the end of race 1 in quarter 4. Green flag back in the air on the loud pedal for Jeff Merck. He gets the jump over Ethan Eckert. Jackson Vise will follow. And that's all you can draw up for a restart here at Talladega. You see some guys, they like to take the inside and jump up. Jeff Merck says, I think I'm okay starting up here, and I'll have everybody follow me from there. But man, big, bold decision right there from the 60. Chooses to jump down. He'll pick up a push from the 12 here onto the backstretch, but I think that third lane's got the run right now as you see Malik Ray with a big shove to the back bumper of Jackson Vise. That line now going to try to get rolling off into turn 3. And now that's another move. That was actually the 8 of Mastretta. The 8 of Malik Ray was behind him. Mastretta, though, now dives down to the bottom of the racetrack. And for Jackson Vise, now he has Malik Ray behind him. The 78 of Evan Carlbaum there as well. And they are 3 abreast further back. Michael Guess, Kyler Wynn stuck on that third lane. Not a lot of spaces to really sit in line just yet. Looks like the 18 of Wyatt Gray is going to go up. Steven Miles is thinking about it. A couple drivers, though, that are still taking it easy here, kind of hanging around the back. The 84, Justin Mellichar. The 11 of Kenny Reel, Daniel Eberhard. The 4, Curtis Mitchell. And then you see Cameron Craighead, Brock Westmoreland trying to play catch-up here. And Asher Little still with a ton of damage to his ARCA Menard's Ford Mustang. 18 and a half laps to go as they rip into turn number 3. Over 30 degrees of banking in the corners here at Talladega, and you can see everybody has been trying to cover the blocks up the racetrack here tonight. They're trying to figure out where to go with that move when you've got it. Everybody wants to go up top. That is also where you're seeing a lot of people trying to make the blocks. Here's the nose view for Michael Guest as he sees the 8 of Malik Ray just in front of him right there. And a lot of things got to be going through the head here for a few different drivers right now, but I think if you're the 12 of Eckert, obviously you're the most anxious. You know you got a chance at 3 in a row, which would be history for PGR. See if he can do it here tonight. The 27 further back, Dylan Jones still has a pretty good run going. He's now 3rd on the inside. As they get back down to mostly 2x2, you can see Jeff Merck still back there. 3rd from the back on the outside. And for Merck, we talked about that restart. I just don't really know if him making that decision to go to the bottom was necessarily the right move. He's trapped kind of back here and looking for some help, but really nobody seems to want to go with him right now. Certainly something Merck's going to jot down in the mental notebook. He will keep it in mind here for when we get to the end of this race. So it's 17 laps to go. In the top 3, you've got Jackson Vise, Chase Mastretta, and Malik Ray. The field is basically 2x2 now and single file after that through the entirety of this lead pack. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, grab a drink of water. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us as we get closer to the finish here at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. 3x3. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. Hard into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Caution is out. You saw it as we were coming back from the end of break, and it is none other than the 60 of Jeff Merck that got turned. A couple other drivers involved, but looks like he'll lose the most track position, although I don't see a lot of damage, and I'm starting to turn more towards, to this day and age in money racing, if you get in a wreck, I know track position is obviously key, but if you leave that wreck without damage, it's kind of got to feel like a miniature win in of itself. It's just so hard to do that once you get to these super speedways. Let's go back though here, break down exactly what sparked this one. Third caution of the night. And again, for Jeff Merck right here, this is going to be right as they're getting ready to come off the corner. I wonder if it's a push gone wrong. You see the two in front of him. That's Kyler Wynn. And as they go to the corner, Kyler jumps up. The 60 starts to drift up as well. Maybe a little contact. Ooh. It's going to be interesting. From that first look, I think race control is going to probably put that on the 60 of Merck. And I think what happens here is I think Merck, I don't want to say falls asleep, but I think he kind of gets a little bit lulled into just following the back bumper of the two here. He sees the two start to go up, so he kind of drifts up as well. Just kind of natural follow, and then he's going to realize, oh shoot, there's a car up here. Starts to turn back down, but what I don't think he realizes is how quick the bottom started to roll up on him. Chase Mastretta, he's got that right. Obviously, you can make the argument of, you know, why didn't you cut me a break? You knew I was coming back down, but, I mean, Chase doesn't go up and tag the 60 of Merck. Merck definitely is coming down and gets right into the nose of the 8. Right there. Again, nothing that Chase Mastretta can necessarily do. Once contact's made, it sends the 60 of Merck around. But then this is a dangerous spot to spin. He's almost lucky that it does that second pirouette. Keeps that car down. Otherwise, he goes back up into the pack, and we're probably talking about his night being over instead of just a loss of track position. And you see Wyatt Gray get involved in this as well right here. Watch for the 80. Goes down, and that was that second incident. In fact, did somebody else get involved right there towards the back end of that? Trying to figure out, was that? I think that was Dylan Jones. I'm going to say he saves it. We'll go back and look at that, but the 18 right there, Wyatt Gray, also goes for a spin. And yes, you saw Dylan Jones down there. Looks like he does save it. Well, and maybe not. Suspension damage there, I think, tells the story for him. It just runs out of room. Oh, and it's right where the wall jets out. You kind of see how the backstretch works here at Talladega. As each jet happens just behind that, there's more room to the inside wall. So if he can just get a little further, he's good. Or if the wall doesn't jet out there, he's good. That's a really, really tough one right there for Dylan. Didn't have any damage from that wreck until that point either. Certainly does now. Let's go back and look at this one more time here for Chase Mastretta and Jeff Merck. Here's the 60. Getting loose. And you can see the rest there. There's the 27 with the big hit. The 89 of Trevor Osronoff was able to dodge it. So as we go back live now, up front, you saw Jeff Merck right there getting damage repaired. Justin Melichar, the other driver that we have carrying an onboard view for us here tonight, now currently sitting in that lead position with what is going to be just probably right around 10 laps to go. I was going to say just under, but if the lights go off this time, it'll be exactly 10 laps to go for this restart. Now, I will say it was obviously a smaller field here tonight. You saw the cautions so far have been significantly less than they have in previous weeks. So a trend that we hope to see keep up. We'll see if these guys can keep it relatively clean for the rest of the way. Landon Velicky in the chats, it's been a while since I flipped in a PGR race. Well, we fixed that trend tonight. As Jerry Buys says, let's go Jackson Buys in the chat. Jackson currently sitting in that second spot in the Subway colors. And for Jackson Buys, and again, the stats, you got to remember now, we're at the point here in PGR. We've been going on for a couple of years and got to do a lot of broadcasts for these guys, but even I can't remember the stats all the way back to when we first started. But I do not believe that Jackson Buys has a race win in PGR. The reason I mention that, and the reason that could be significant, is because he's running second here tonight. So he's obviously got a big opportunity to potentially grab that first win here tonight. I'm looking back through the list, and I don't believe that I see Jackson Buys' name on here. I'll tell you what, though, while we have the list up, since some of these drivers are in this race, let's just talk about some of the most incredible stats that we have got here for PGR. Again, since we started back, and it's been a while now, potentially over 2 years since we kicked things off. The winningest driver, though, in the PGR is Malik Ray. He's in the field tonight. He's got 12 wins, 27 podiums, and he's also got those 2 back-to-back SummerSlam wins. Garrett Maines, second most wins in PGR at 9. He's also got a Fall Brawl win. He's got a March Madness win. Cody Nagels, still the highest streak winner in PGR history, so I take that back for Eckert. If he wins 3 in a row tonight, he gets one closer, but would not be able to beat the record. Cody won 4 in a row at one point. Kevin Freese, haven't heard me say that name in a while, not in the field, but fourth most winning driver. Alex Hill up there as well. But then you get down to Daniel Falkingham, 5 PGR wins, which is still a lot, but the more impressive stat for him, he has won a PGR Fall Brawl. He is a PGR champion. He's also won a PGR 500. That doesn't leave much more for him to win, most notably just the SummerSlam. Maybe March Madness as well. We'll call that another crown jewel, obviously, but more so for kind of a one-time event, just leaves him again the SummerSlam. All right, here we go. Enough talking, time to get racing. iRacing.com pace cars got the lights off. Justin Melichar, Jackson Buys, opportunity here for 2 separate drivers to grab their first PGR win. Same scenario for Quentin Steinbach, who will start 3rd. Then it's Kyler Wynn. Few of the other front runners that are looking for another win here tonight. Here we go. Green flag is back in the air. 10 laps to go here at Talladega. Pretty good restart for that inside, but there's not a lot of organization. Melichar's really going to have to jump up here. He better do it soon. Oh, he hesitates. Oh, man, I think the 84 waited too long. Now the outside's rolling, and they're going to pull all sorts of guys clear right here. The 2 of Wynn, multiple others, but watch out. They start to stack them up on the inside further back. That's going to break it apart even more. Melichar continues to fade as the 21 of Jackson Buys now goes to the lead down the backstretch. Still 3 wide. You see the top 3 trying to get tandemed up here and organized. But everybody else, are we going to see pit stops here? No, what is going on here? Yes, we are. And this must be the required green flag pit stop. Yes, it is. Oh, my goodness. The whole field, they get in without trouble. I don't think we'll see anybody actually go into their pit stall here. I think it's just a drive-through. Can the whole field get out as clean as they got in? You see them trying to single file back up here. This is where you get nervous, though. I don't think everybody's going to want to necessarily let everybody else in line. Watch as they scatter out. So far, so good. A little bit of 3 wide, though, further back. Everybody's trying to get in line. The 8s of Mastretta, he'll find a spot, as does Brambilla, but watch out. Steven Miles, somebody's got to let him in. As for Michael Guest in the 21, nobody cutting them a break. Let's see if they get it sorted out here by the time they get onto the backstretch. Looks like they do. So the equivalent of what we would call a joker lap here at Talladega, but just under control. I mentioned it, or I hinted at it, I should say, earlier in the night. But again, never got confirmation from race control or anybody if it was an actual thing. That answers that question. They did a random wheel spin before the race on 1 lap that these guys were going to have to make a green flag pit stop. And it came with 10 coming to 9 to go. Watch out. Oh, trouble. Jackson Buys is going to get turned. The 21 slides down through the pits. The 90 of Eberhard has to go down to dodge him, as does Steven Miles. Buys will continue going. No caution. We stay green. And I think for Eberhard, And Steven Miles, I don't think they were pitting there because of the spinning 21. I think they were pitting there because they were required to. Makes me think they may have got a speeding penalty during that sequence of what we just saw. Heck of a save there from Jackson Buys, but let's back it up one more time to see what initially got him out of shape to begin with here. Oh, just getting pushed. Too many cars pushing 4 deep. And it just immediately hooks the 21 around. There's not much he can do here. See, he has to check up a little bit as he gets to the 8. Velichar tags him again. Around he goes. Lucky save, but not a lucky break. Jackson Buy is going to need a caution. Meanwhile, at the front of the field now, we are down to really only about 10 cars actually in the lead pack. There's a second group, though, pretty close. About 5 cars deep, being led by Michael Guest, trying to catch up right now. Falkingham on the bottom right here with Cameron Craighead. They're trying to get something rolling. Just 7 laps to go now. And with the pack being this small up front, you wonder if these guys wait until the last second to try to make that winning move. And looking at it again, we only had, I believe, technically 27 start the race. We had 29 registered. So I don't know if payouts are actually going to go all the way back to the top 6 here tonight. I would assume it would still likely be at least top 5, though. We're starting to get that kind of Pied Piper feel, and the Pied Piper of them all right now is Malik Ray, leading everybody on that top line, just like Dale Jr. used to do. Anytime he would go to Talladega, nobody wanting to jump out near the front. Further back, though, a couple of takers, Falkingham and Guest. Now Chase Mistretta is going to jump down. If this bottom's able to start to get organized, you'll start to see a couple more guys potentially take it from the top. And no big side draft yet. That's the other thing we'll see this top lane try to do. Kyler Wynn, though, being very strategic right here. Even that whole last lap, you saw him not really doing a ton of pushing. The big reason for that is he knows if there's no challenge, that he's got to save his temp. So that's exactly what he made sure that he was doing right there. Now he's going to go to the inside. Is this a big move to the bottom? Yes, it is. He'll pick up a big push from the A to Chase Mistretta. And if you're Kyler Wynn here, got to be careful. Still a lot of laps to go. And remember, with the bumper hooking, it's a lot easier for these guys to get turned now than it used to be. And, oh, man, the 8 of Mistretta. Big move right there to cover on Kyler. Now Kyler tried to look to the middle. Chase is able to block, but he's going to make one too many. Big wreck across the start-finish line. Caution is out. And it's going to end the night for a couple of them. Man. The 11 of Kenny Reel is torn up, as is Kyler Wynn. You just absolutely hate to see it. Saw it live, and fortunately, when we go back to replay here, I'll be shocked if my mind has changed, but it is a really unfortunate way to take out 3 really good race cars that had a good shot tonight. Just always seems like every once in a while we see this, where there's a couple tempers over something so petty, and it leads to an incident like that. We've seen a lot of blocking, and I'll be one to say, everybody's got their own opinions about it, and I'm definitely not saying mine's the right one, but I've always been one to feel when it's the last lap in that situation, I get it. Going for it. We're coming to the line. Case like that, I don't really get it. I'll be honest, but let's go back and take a look at it here and see if it was indeed a late block here from Chase Mistretta. So this is going to be through the travel. You could already see these two, you could kind of tell they'd had that feel to it as they weren't too pleased with each other, but it's just going to kind of amplify here as they come to the travel. You're going to see Chase, he gets a run, jumps up here. It's a little late, but it's okay. He makes it work. Now Kyler's pushing. Kyler looks to the middle. Chase is going to throw a block. And he's not necessarily clear, but again, he makes it work. So that's, to me, that's your block, right? You've made your block. Now Kyler goes to go up, and let's see, was there a little bit of net code here? Or was it? There may have been a little bit of net code. Let's see. I don't know. It looks, I know it's hard to tell from there, so I'll show the cockpit view, but it looks to me like the hands of Chase Mistretta start to go back to the right inside that cockpit. Let's go watch it from the chopper view first, and then we will go to the cockpit view. This is full speed, by the way. Ooh. So I'll tell you what, I will say, it certainly looks a lot closer from that angle. Ooh, man, I'm glad I'm not race control. From live view, I really thought it was Chase trying to make a late block. Still might have been. I still kind of think it was, but from that angle, you could certainly make an argument that maybe when Kyler jumped out, he was just kind of hooking him. Maybe not, obviously not intentionally, but although here's the only way I can judge this, and I'll go here and we'll go to the cockpit view because we can't spend all day replaying this. So watch where they're lined up right here. So I already say I feel like this block was obviously a little late from Chase, but he makes it work. Now he gets down to right about the white line. Look where his left side tires are. You see him on that striped white line. Now watch where these two end up when they end up actually hooking each other. You see Kyler go up, but did you see where Chase was at right when they make contact? Right there. He's not quite hooked on that white line anymore. I think from the angle we have, and again, race control, I'm glad I'm not them. They're going to have to make this decision. From that angle, I would say it kind of looks like Chase was probably trying to cover a block. But let's go back and look at this now from the cockpit view. And this should certainly answer that question. Yeah, I think that's what that is. You see the hands there working back to the right. Got to think if he was getting pure hooked, then those hands would be jerking the wheel hard left. But certainly looks like there's a lot of rightward motion there. Well, we'll have to see how they justify it. Giving you what I think it is. We've seen some replays. So we will move on from there. Definitely curious to hear an opinion on that. But we will have to see what happens. And in fact, I was initially going to try to pull Kyler in. But it's true, Chase was the other car involved in that. So let's see if we can pull him in here for potentially a quick interview to see what his thoughts on that were. And while we do that, we will look back up front where the lights are still on the pace car. And we're going to go back green here now with less than 2 to go. So that means it is going to be our official one attempt at a green-white checkered. So this is going to do it, which means we will not have a caution. We will run this thing out. By the way, while we wait to see what happens, let's see what happens. Chase says no EOL on me. So there you go. Hey, like I said, I've said what I've said. I'm not going to take it back anymore. I gave you my opinion for what it looked like. I am not in the driver's head. And again, I mentioned that part of that, maybe when Kyler jumped out, he was kind of hooking the 8. So we'll have to see what happens. Oh, I just got sidetracked here. I was getting ready to go back and show everybody one more view of this incident. I just want to show the after part of it and kind of the extra involvement. You see Wyatt Gray, he got some pretty significant contact once Kyler went back down, and then Kenny Real takes that other big hit. So those were the other 2 cars that sustained some significant damage from that incident. So we are now at the 1 lap to go marker. So as we get ready to get back to green flag racing, again, one more time, I'll say it's green-white checker, 2-lap shootout. And if the leader takes the white flag, then we won't have to worry about the caution at all. But even if the caution did come out, these guys are going to race it back because on the final green-white checker here in PGR, we do not stop for the caution. So if you're just tuning in, get comfortable. Hang around with us here for a couple minutes as we are getting ready to watch the conclusion of race 1 here in quarter 4. And up front, talk about the top 2. 2 of the most impressive resumes in PGR. Malik Ray, the winningest driver by quite a wide margin. Michael Guest in 3rd. He's won before. Nash Brambilla, Justin Melichar. Both looking for their first victory here tonight. Jared Haynes back in 6th. Trevor Ostronaut 7. Brock Westermole in 8th. Evan Kralbaum in 9th. And Stephen Miles rounding out the top 10. Actually, it's going to be Daniel Eberhardt now. So as we get ready here for this restart, it's going to be one final chance at it. Still a couple of drivers with big opportunities as well. You know who I don't see up here, I'm not sure what happened, is Ethan Eckert. Being scored at least a lap down. Again, not sure what happened to the 12, but nonetheless, let's do this thing one more time. Pace car is off field in the hands of Malik Ray and Daniel Falkingham. Into the Geico restart zone they will roll. And for the final time tonight, green flag back in the air. 2 laps to go at Talladega. Good restart for the 8 of Malik Ray, but Falkingham's going to run him tight as they climb the banking into turn 1. Big push right now. The 88 trying to surge ahead as they work through 1 and 2. And already Brock Westmoreland looking 3 wide. Oh, big hit. Oh, man, Daniel Falkingham got hooked upside down. The rest of the field, though, going to have to organize here because we're not going to get a caution. And, oh, man, they're still trying to get it discombobulated here. More contact. They're still wrecking in the back. We'll keep the cameras up front and sort it all out later. Single filing out now up front. Malik Ray, Michael Guest, and then Nash Brambilla and Trevor Oswanoff. This is going to be all about who makes the move first. Nash Brambilla, I think he could get at least some help in the 89. I'm not sure where Wyatt Gray and Daniel Eberhardt decide to go. Cameron Craighead there as well. But here we go. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go at Talladega. Race is official. Malik Ray looking for his 13th win. Michael Guest trying to capture another one as well. Nash Brambilla still has the opportunity, but he's not going to go yet. Further back in the field, first move was Craighead. Saw there was no help, goes back up, throws one of the worst blocks I've ever seen on Brock and takes himself out in the process. There's still single file, though, at the front. Half a lap to go. Here we go. They're starting to bob and weave. There's the first move. Brimbilla's going to jump to the inside. Oswanoff stays high. Wyatt Gray's going to follow the 23 down to the bottom. Got to watch out here. That top's going to have one more big run. Looks like the bottom will be out of it. Does Trevor make one more move? Now they're going to all wreck out back. It's going to come down to the top 3. Up front, Malik Ray leads them through the travel. Will Michael Guest make the move? Not yet. No, he won't. He's going to push the 8 all the way back. Malik Ray captures win number 13 here at Talladega. And the staying in line doesn't pay off. It looked like they were going to be setting up for one more move on the leaders, but they never had a chance to make it. But for Malik Ray, he puts himself in position and finds a way once again to get the job done here tonight. And if you're looking to see some of the chaos that broke down on those last couple of laps, hang with us here for about an extra 5 minutes or so. We have a lot to look at. Daniel Falkingham getting hooked on the first lap. Didn't even get a chance at it. Chaos with Craighead there on the white flag lap, and then the field disintegrating there off of turn 4. And so a different paint scheme tonight for Malik Ray. But again, same result. He'll bring it around. We'll see if we get some smoke from the 2-time defending SummerSlam winner. And he is. He's going to burn it down here near the front stretch. And you just wonder. I mean, I know that everybody says super speedway racing is a lot of luck and everything involved, but you don't get lucky 13 times in PGR, at least not in this short of a period. This guy's got something figured out that everybody else is still looking for. And if you're Malik Ray, you're hoping to ride this wave as long as it'll go. So as he continues to burn down, before we go break down the chaos there that happened, let's go back here and let's look at this first, or look at the results first, rather, and then we'll talk about if there's going to be any potential EOLs or whatnot. So Malik Ray is your race winner tonight. Michael Guest takes home 2nd. It's going to be Trevor Oswanoff finishing that 3rd position. Curtis Mitchell 4th. Wyatt Gray back in 5th with Brock Westmoreland 6th. Asher Little 7th. Nash Brambilla in 8th. Cameron Craighead in 9th. And Evan Carlbon rounding out the top 10. Daniel Eberhardt finishes in 11th here tonight. Kenny Reel 12th. Quentin Steinbach 13th. Justin Millichar in 14th. Stephen Miles 15th. It'll be Jackson Baez taking home 17th here tonight. 16th. With Daniel Falkingham finishing in 17th. Back in the 18th spot, there's Jared Haynes for the Jack Shack, and rounding out the top 20, it's going to be Jeff Merck and Kyler Wynn. Chase Mistretta finishes 21st. Ethan Eckert 22nd. Dylan Jones 23rd. Landon Velicki 24th. Josh Gambro in 25th. Tucker McClendon 26th with Brian Hennings 27th. Tobias Masson in 28th. Going on back to Justin Johnson rounding out the field in 29th. All right, let's go back here. Take a look at some of this chaos here on the last couple of laps. By the way, I know a lot of people heading out, so if you are getting ready to leave, again, appreciate you joining us here tonight. Ninth Gear says, great broadcast. Thank you, guys. And Jerry Bies says, thanks, PGR. You guys are quite welcome. Appreciate you hanging out with us here tonight. Hopefully we will see you back next Thursday. All right, let's go back and break down the chaos here that all started on the green flag lap. A little bit of a post-race show here tonight. A little bit of extra from what we normally would have, but a lot of chaos to break down, so we got to go back and look at it all. So this is going to be the restart here on the green flag. We'll speed it up here for you until we get to the point of where that first incident happens here. And the first one's going to collect Daniel Falkingham here, so let's zoom this in and back it up. So that's 84, Justin Melichar behind him. Melichar is going to get a run. And just, he hits Falkingham in the right rear, and that was an unbelievably huge hit right here. And watch again, and for Melichar, to be fair, does he get a little shot here from Jared Haynes before this happens? No, he doesn't. The run just catches up, and the 84 is just not quite square. There's the first hit. Well, actually, I take it back. The first hit, he's okay. Yeah, I take that back a little bit. For Melichar here, the first bump's okay, but what happens here is when he hits him, that causes a little bit of a stack up, but then the 7 hits the 84, which gives him another boost, sends him up the track a little bit, and the 84 Melichar tries to realign with the 88, but in doing so, he just hooks him, sends the 88 to Falkingham up, and look at that hit. I mean, this thing, Falkingham, we got to make sure he's okay. I mean, that was one of the biggest hits we have seen all night, and then they weren't done wrecking there. The shenanigans continued here down the backstretch. Jeff Merck and Jared Haynes get into it. I wonder if this is some of the beef I'm seeing in the YouTube chat right now. Let's go back and look at this from the blimp cam here. And this is the only problem when you run into no caution is everybody fans out below the racing surface. They're all trying to figure it back out eventually. And you see it looks like Jeff Merck just kind of going up the track and gets into the 7. Jared Haynes and kind of cleans him out. I think Jeff probably obviously thinking that there's a car below him trying to go up, but maybe just didn't realize in all the chaos of the moment that there's a car up there. See, Jared Haynes is even trying to turn right to avoid him, but Jeff does come up, gets into the 7, and cleans him out. So that takes those two out of contention, collects the 84 Melichar, and everybody else survives it. So then you fast forward this a lap, we grab the white flag, and now let's watch all the chaos that unfolds from here. First, we'll go up to Cameron Craighead. This was the first incident we saw happen on the white flag, and I know you're trying everything to keep position, but I said it live, and I'll probably say it again right here. You see, Brock's got a big run. He goes down, and as mentioned, Cameron Craighead with arguably just not a very smart block right there. He maybe keeps himself in contention there if he just goes back high and tries to stay in the draft. Instead, he tries to throw the Superman block on Brock Westmoreland to get a run from him and gets himself wrecked in the process. And now I thought it was going to be a battle between all these guys up front the rest of the way. There goes Nash, and fortunately for him, just gets zero help. Wyatt Gray tries to jump down, but they just can't get much. There's a couple of kind of mistimed bumps, but it seemed like everybody was okay there. And then as they gear up here for another big run, looks like it's going to be right as they're coming out of the corner. Steven Miles gets into the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt and turns him around. And for Steven here, I was trying to figure out if there was anything. The 90's not really coming down. Steven just gets up into Eberhardt right there, and it's a couple more cars washing up the track at the same time, and then that cleans everybody fourth on back out. And it is a three-way battle there to the finish, and Trevor Osmanoff was probably hoping for a shot at it, but no help as Michael Guest sticks with his teammate. It is a 1-2 finish for Malik Ray and Michael Guest. All right, interview time. Curious to hear some of the opinions on the top three here tonight, so let's bring them in for interviews, hear what they have to say. We're going to start first here tonight with your race winner and make it now 13-time PGR race winner, Malik Ray. Malik, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm good. Well, hey, I'll tell you what, we kind of went through a couple stats here tonight. You heard me mention 13th PGR win. You've also won 2 SummerSlams, so the resume, I don't really know how much more impressive it can get at the time being, but overall, tonight at the end felt a little bit more tame than usual. Were you surprised to see them all pile up out of turn 4, and did you feel pretty good from that point on?
Yeah. I'd say yeah. I knew I had to worry about Mike making a move, but at the end there, like, he chose to just stay in line. So I appreciate him for his help. Always, I mean, I just appreciate all of our teammates' help. Him, Merck, and then Kyler, and then Wyatt, and then Jackson, and then Miles. I mean, all of us work really well together, and everything just seems to be paying off for us. So, I'm just saying, shout out to my teammates. I appreciate them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw you guys working good together through a few different points here tonight. But I want to ask you something a little bit more detail here, if you don't mind giving it to us. Is, we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks, these races seem to be getting a little bit messier. So here tonight, obviously the pushing rule a little bit more strict about not locking bumpers in the corners and any sort of bumper hooking being on the car that was doing the pushing. What did you kind of see out there tonight from your point of view? Did you feel like things were a little bit cleaner, and did you have to make any adjustments yourself?
I'd say absolutely. I think the no bump drafting in the corners or no locking bumpers in the corners, I think that really cleaned up the racing. I mean, obviously at the end, like everyone crashed and stuff, but that was just from checkups. That wasn't from like anyone like locking bumpers or anything. So I think that rule, I think it definitely did its job tonight.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you head out tonight to go celebrate the winnings, Malik, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out for win number 13?
All of my teammates, and Trevor too for helping on the white flag, and Roger Shelton at 10 Solutions, and you guys for broadcasting, and Mike for putting on the whole event. I appreciate every last one of you guys, so thank you.
And Malik, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the race win, and we will see you hopefully back here next week.
All right, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, now that's going to bring us up to your second place finisher here tonight. And that is none other than Michael Guest. Michael, this is Austin up at the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I got you.
Well, you bring home second tonight, man, and got to be honest, you don't sound too excited about it. You were so close to getting another one of your wins, but you see your teammate get the job done, and you still take home a lot of money tonight. Was that the game plan there on that final restart? And kind of take us, what was going through your mind there as you saw everybody trying to single file up behind you guys?
No, yeah, like that was a good race. I'm appreciative that I wasn't involved in the last lap crash. I've been involved in a few of those lately. When I was in like a money position. So glad I avoided that tonight and was able to get to the end there. I didn't want to, I was working with Malik obviously, and I didn't want to risk us costing each other the win by racing for it. So I was okay pushing him tonight to the win. So I'm glad that oh my God, I can't talk. We were able to secure the dub, and our teammates worked real well tonight. We were doing a few different strategies that were going to put us off cycle, and I kind of hate to see the cautions. I'd really love if we could just go green every once in a while and get some strategy in there, but regardless, that finished well, so I can't complain.
Yeah, it certainly did, and we saw you guys trying to play the strategy there earlier. Now, next week, we head off to the Fall Bra. Question for you is, are you going to be able to make it? And if so, what's going to be kind of the strategy going into it, knowing that it's a multi-week event to make it to the championship?
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. That's going to be an interesting one. Hope people show up.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously a smaller field here tonight, but nonetheless, you were able to still find a way to get up front and dominate towards the end. So, Michael, before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, of course, you guys for broadcasting. Cool to see these broadcasts happen to begin with. It's funny. Every week we go into these races, and I know each time I do it, I feel like the big bad guys against the field sometimes, especially with having just Malik, I guess. But no, great to work with these guys. Hopefully we can keep the good runs going.
Yeah, Michael, remember, guys tend to always hate the boys that win the most, and you and Malik certainly right up there at the top of that category, but you guys have a phenomenal one tonight. Appreciate you talking to us, and we will see you again next week. Congrats on the second place finish.
Appreciate it.
All right, now that's going to bring us to your final podium finisher here on the night, and that is the Jack Shack's own Trevor Oswanoth. Trevor, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes.
Yeah, and they couldn't hear the soundbite that time. Had you muted on the start, but I know you'll have another one for us. Hey, nonetheless, though, you bring home a third-place finish here tonight, and I got to think you wanted a shot to make a move there at the end, but everybody wrecked behind you. Didn't really get much of a chance at it. And he has hopped out, so we're going to try it again. I have a feeling I know it's getting ready to happen. I think as soon as we pull him back, he's going to have a soundbite for us. Let's see if I'm correct. Hey, Trevor, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Austin. Yeah, sorry. My PC just crashed. That's great. So I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay. My guess was that since the soundbite we had for you muted the first time, you were going to try it again. But nonetheless, I was getting ready to say you got a third-place finish here tonight. But I feel like you had a chance at it there at the end. But coming off of 4, the field wrecks behind you. What was going through your mind that last lap?
Was hope and pray, and hope that they turn each other in front of me, because I didn't think there was any way I was going to get around them, not without help. And yeah, I had one of their teammates behind me. I was just kind of a sitting duck, so I kind of just had to hold what I had and hope for the best. And yeah, man, I hate it. I really do, because I hate finishing third. That's the one thing I hate doing. Worse than finishing second is finishing third. So really wanted to win tonight. Didn't get it, but it's all good.
Yeah, still a good finish nonetheless, and obviously taking home pretty good sum of money regardless. But, you know, I asked the same question here to Malik. We saw something a little different tonight with the stricter bumper locking rules, especially in the corners. This car can be so finicky at times. How do you kind of make that balance? And as a driver, what's kind of the line in terms of risk versus reward versus pushing too much early and trying to push to win on the last lap?
Well, it's kind of good because it creates a little, it's weird. It's both. It creates a little more of a stack up, and it doesn't create a little more of a stack up, just all situational. You can make a lot more moves with it. When we ran it in the Xfinity car, we really couldn't do much, but with this car, with the side draft and the way how these cars work, you could definitely make a lot more moves. These guys were really, well, I lied. Some of them were being crazy with the bumping, but I feel like it was a pretty good success. It worked out, I think, the way we wanted it to work out. And yeah, I enjoy it. I'm a fan of it. I like the less aggressive slam drafting. I think it creates better racing, as you saw tonight. I think this should have been a wreck fest, and it wasn't. So that's a win in my book. So yeah, we'll take that.
Absolutely. Well, Trevor, before we let you head out here tonight to go celebrate the podium, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, man, I got to thank, first and foremost, you guys, always Austin, putting on a great broadcast. Can't wait to go back and watch it and see how I could have not done anything better than a third. I got to thank Mike putting this on each and every week. PGR is the staple of Thursday nights, so, you know, we're always going to show up here, try to get us a W. And I got to thank the Jack Shack. Jack Shack was rocking the night, baby. Rocking every single night, but definitely the night more than anything. And yeah, man, thank the viewers, and got to thank everybody on track for having such a good race. I really enjoyed it. One of the better races so far this year. So thank you.
Absolutely. And Trevor, thank you for talking to us. Congrats on the third place finish. We'll see you next week for the kickoff of Fall Brawl.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, that is just about going to wrap up our coverage here tonight. You saw the chaos at the end, but overall, race-wise, not as messy as things have been over the last couple of weeks. So good news there, and another fantastic win for the Coke Series driver Malik Ray. His teammate Michael Guest makes it a 1-2 for that duo. And overall, ARCA cars showing the potential when we can avoid the cautions. Crazy finish, though. It'd be interesting to see how Race Control deems some of the finishes for a few of those guys with incidents there on the last two laps. But overall, a good night. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week for the kickoff of Fall Brawl. Looking forward to the format of that. We'll have a full breakdown on how things work once we get there. Otherwise, I will see everybody next time. As for tonight, once again, thank you for joining in. And until next time,